here with Nick? And
Yeah, Nick had a nice day. He threw the ball well, moved well, obviously in the elements, considering. I thought he did a nice job. I thought Keith moved better today.
Yep.
Wasn't quite ready to put him in with the action of the rest of the guys, but I thought he moved better today than he did yesterday or the day before.
Would you expect to see him maybe get some reps tomorrow? Or
I'd like that to happen, whatever we decide to do. I'd like to see him get reps tomorrow so that we can see where he's at.
When do you feel like you have to make that call? I mean, could that be a game day type deal? Or?
No, I'll make it much before then. You guys won't know, but I'll know.
So you're kind of going to keep it to yourself?
No, the team will know.
But is it a strategic thing for you to just...
I don't think so. No, I think that we're not going to change offensively. We run what we run. It's a little too late in the season to right now change who we are and what we do. We're not going to change that way, but I think there's a psyche deal to it for our team. They need to know, and the players need to know so that they can move forward.
How much has Nick progressed in just the last couple of months in your mind?
Well, I think the last month in general. I think he's gotten better consistently the entire time he's been here. I really believe that he's improved. But the last month specifically have been his best practices. He's playing faster. I think part of that is you get game experience. You realize how fast the game is. And so you get back out on the practice field and you say, okay, I really got to turn it up. I really got to speed up. And it's a noticeable difference since his first action.
Accuracy-wise, is he at a pretty good spot in regards to that?
Yeah, it shows in his numbers. Just the limited time that he has, I think he's completing 65% of his balls right now. So and that's some throws down the field too. So he's done a nice job that way.
So when would you tell the team?
I'll probably tell him tomorrow.
So you made the decision?
No. I got, how many hours is that? 20 hours to tell him.
But you're not going to announce it publicly? Or?
No, I don't need to.
Have you changed course on that? Or it sounded like earlier in the week you maybe were going to do that?
I didn't ever say I'd announce it.
Steve, what is it about their rush defense right now? What are teams taking advantage of right now?
Well, I think in a couple of the games, it's who you play, too. Stanford's mixed in there. Remember, they're a pretty good rushing team. We found that out ourselves. And part of it in a couple other games is you fall behind and the team's more willing to continue to run the ball. And so I think that's in part due. You look on our side, when we fall behind, we don't get as many carries. Our rush numbers come down and our opponent's rush numbers go up. I think that's just part of the flow of the game. So I think that's where some of the numbers are showing up. And I think that's why you see what you see. And the same thing with their rushing numbers offensively. You fall behind, you got to start throwing the ball.
I know your playbook is curtailed to opponents week to week, but I mean, do you feel like you could give him the whole kit and caboodle with?
Well, there's a lot of variables, obviously, Saturday. Weather being one. So you have to be smart with what you do weather-wise. Two, you're on the road in a hostile environment, and you've got a good kid potentially making his first start. So if that's the case, I'm not just gonna, hey, here's the kitchen sink. We'll be very aware of what we give him and why we're doing it, and he'll understand what we're doing and what the plan will be.
Steve, as far as going back to the starting thing one more time, do you want to see practice tomorrow before?
No.
You don't. So you'll make that call before practice tomorrow.
I'll know through the morning, depending on how Keith feels and stuff.
When you said Keith looked better today, what did he do?
Just movement-wise, so much of what it is when you've got a knee injury, like he has, where the swelling is what it is and has been, the mobility is the issue. And I don't want to put him out here if I don't think he's mobile enough to move to avoid some of the hits that are potentially out there to take. And so, he'll be in to get treatment tonight, and then again in the morning, and I'll have a real understanding of what he looks like.
And just to clarify, you said yesterday no structural damage. Was it just a sprain?
Yeah, it's just swelling, and there's a sprain in there. Pretty good, obviously sprain to cause that swelling, but it's not structural in a sense where he's got to have surgery or anything of the sort.
Any changes to the offensive line potentially for Saturday?
Potentially, but I thought the guys competed well today.
Keith made his first start at Oregon last year too. Do you see a lot of similarities in both approaches if Nick's going to start in preparation and things like that?
I think in the sense of a style of play potentially, but again, this is a different opponent, a different style of defense. What they do, how they do things. We're a different offensive football team than we were a year ago, so there'll be things that will feel similar in the sense that I'm not just going to handcuff him. He's going to have his opportunities to throw the ball and throw it around and throw it down the field. But regardless of who the quarterback is, if we're going to be successful Saturday, we got to run the ball, and we got to do it well.
If Keith can't go, can you envision if he's not starting, could you envision making him the number 2 guy, or is it?
There's a potential of that as well. Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of options right now, that's a good thing.
Nick coming from Southern California, he this is the kind of weather he signed up for, right?
Yeah, it takes time to adjust, though. That goes without saying. But he's been here now for quite some time. You know, he graduated high school early. He's had to live through some of the tougher days out here. This wasn't as bad as we've seen it, and had to been through it. And so it takes time to adjust, like Keith had to adjust to it when he first got here. And I thought again today, all the quarterbacks threw the ball pretty dang well for a wet ball. I thought Derek and Thomas, they all did a nice job.
You say you got to run no matter what. I mean, last week obviously Chris only got the 9, and you kind of said the game got away from you. But I mean, is it kind of just as simple as that to recommit to it this week if you got to do that?
Well, I think we'll have a plan, and Chris will get his carries. But ultimately, you know, where the real limitations came is in the second half. He just didn't get carries, and regardless of the score, we have to stick to our plan, and he's got to get his carries.
Seems like Schaefer's been doing a lot of kind of snapping inside and stuff. What's he kind of working through?
Well, you know, just like anything, you know, it's you make a mistake like that, everybody sees it, everybody notices it, and it's different than when you block the wrong guy or something, or you go the wrong way. You make a bad snap, everybody sees it. It's like a corner getting beat deep or a quarterback throwing an interception. Everybody knows the mistake that was made, and so he just wants to fix it. You know, I think in his mind, he's a competitive guy. He wants it fixed and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Is he naturally left-handed?
Yes.
Has he had an injury on the other hand though, or I mean, it seems like he's had a wrap on that right hand?
No, I mean, he's an offensive lineman. You know, they're gonna have some bumps and bruises.
What do you see from Derek Brown?
He's improved. He really has. I thought Derek has improved. He shows good maturity, a real seriousness for studying, preparing, and that's hard to do when you're a redshirt freshman and you know that, man, you're down the line, but to continue to study and work at it and prepare yourself, and then it showed this week. You know, it showed. He's been in practice, and every instance that he's been in, he's executed really well.
If he needs to play, I mean, I'm knock on wood, obviously Nick, if he starts, he's healthy, but if Derek needs to play, do you have that conversation saying, hey, look, if we go with Nick, then you're potentially a play away from being the guy out there?
Sure.
Steve, what is it about Oregon State going down there? It's been elusive getting a win for you and for Washington.
Yeah, it has. You know, they're good. One, they're well coached. They play hard at home. They've got good fans. And for whatever reason, you know, I feel like when we've gone there and played, they just have played really, really well. You know, they haven't made any mistakes. You know, even 2 years ago when we went back there as a team, they played just a flawless game, and that's how it's been. And so we have to anticipate that being the case this Saturday. They're going to play really well. And to do that, to match that, we have to perform. We have to be physical. We have to play with amazing effort. We have to execute.
It seems like outside of the Arizona game, it's been difficult to generate turnovers on defense. Are there some keys to that?
Well, again, you know, the turnovers generally occur for the most part when a team is pressing, when they're trying, when the quarterback's trying to make a throw or a back's trying to make a run. And that occurs mostly when a team's behind. They're trying to make a play to get back into the game. And so I think we can help that offensively by executing, getting some scores early in games to where they have to throw the ball a little more. They have to take a few more chances. The quarterback is dropping back more. You get more pass rushes. So that's generally when those things occur. That being said, I'd like us to get our hands on more balls, especially early in the game, whether it's in the passing game or the running game.
Oregon State has generated turnovers. I mean, they've had turnovers. What have they normally been doing? Is it just the youth of the quarterback and
I think
interceptions?
so.
Or?
You know, I think that some of the youth of the quarterback, that you have as growing pains going through it. Some teams that fumbles occur. You know, that happens. It's part of the game. And, you know, we've had our own issues with turnovers ourselves here the last couple of weeks and then lack thereof generating them.
How much is what Nick did in high school offensively set schemes carried over?
There's some similarity, the types of throws. Obviously, the verbiage and the language we speak is much different, and protection schemes and all that. But I think that from just the types of routes and style of offense, it's very similar.
So you didn't have to break him down to scratch.
No. He's come from an offense that's used to throwing the football.
See, did he command the huddle a little bit differently than Keith does, and if so, how?
I think the difference is their personalities. You know, ultimately, for us, when you step in the huddle, you have to be yourself because you don't want to change all of a sudden when adversity strikes, which it's going to strike at some point Saturday. We're going to have to deal with some adversity. So you got to be you. And so that's the biggest difference. And you guys know their personalities enough now, having talked to them, that they're different kids. And that's what the command of the huddle, the difference will be.
Is there anything in terms of the throws that he's particularly good at right now?
Yeah, there's things that will tailor his game to that what he does well.
James Johnson? How's he doing?
He's gotten better. You know, I don't think he's fully healthy, but he has gotten better, and I think he can contribute for us Saturday.
Steve, when you look at Nick, just at kind of his whole game and everything else, are there any resemblance to his father at all? Do you see glimpses and signs?
I think I think they're both about 6'2". They got blonde hair. Pretty lean guys.
No semblance to their passing game so far.
Find out. I don't know. You're talking about the greatest of all time. I don't know.
You don't want to put them on that level yet.
Poor guys just
Give him
trying
a
to
game
play.
first.
Have you ever felt though? I mean, he's always said that that's not really something that's. Like,
I really don't think it bothers him, and I think to his parents' credit, they haven't. It hasn't been part of it, even throughout the recruiting process. It was about Nick and not Joe or Jennifer or Nate it was about Nick, and this process has been about Nick, and I think that that's a real credit to Joe and Jennifer and to their family and to Nick for how they've handled it. And he's, I think, enjoyed his experience of college football and college life so far, and I think it'll only get better for him.
How has Keith handled kind of not being out there the last couple of
I
days?
think he's frustrated. That's natural. Keith's an amazing competitor. And one of the better competitors I've been around, and he wants to be out there in the worst way.
So no debate for you, Joe's the best of all time.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, Sarkisian.